Hello everybody, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make a scatter plot using Excel. We'll begin by logging into Canvas, going into Modules, scroll down to Chapter 4, and click on the Chapter 4 Excel example spreadsheet, and on the next page you'll see the download link. So I'm going to download this to my desktop and open it up. And there's a bunch of different spreadsheets here correlating to the examples that we're going to be doing in class. I'm going to go all the way to the far left to the first spreadsheet for example 4.3 Scatterplot. So example 4.3 is pages 103 to 104 in the textbook. And this is looking at the data for the state percent of graduates taking the SAT versus the state mean SAT mathematics score for the 50 states in the US plus the District of Columbia. So to begin making this scatter plot, we always have to have the explanatory variable in the leftmost column. So let's take a look here. I have mathematics score first and the percent taking the SAT second. Well, the X variable is the percent taking the SAT, so I need to move that one column over to the left. In order to do that, we're going to right-click over column C, and it should highlight the entire column, and I'm going to hit Cut. Then I'm going to go over to column B, right-click over column B, and go down to Insert Cut Cells. I'm not going to paste because it'll paste over everything. I'm just going to insert the cut cells, and it moves the column over one to the left. So now we have the X variable being first and the Y variable being second. Okay, so here's what we do now. To create the scatter plot, we're going to highlight the entire data set, both columns. I'm going to go over to Insert, and we have a bunch of icons here for graphs. I'm going to go to the icon that says XY scatter. Click on that and select the first scatter plot. And you're going to see the scatter plot appear on your page. Now, there's different styles that you can choose from. It doesn't really matter which one you select, but the main thing that I want you guys to do is you must go over to Quick Layout and select Quick Layout 10. And the reason we're doing that is because it'll automatically add in an X-axis title and a Y-axis title. Before I go ahead and edit those titles, I want to do one thing. You see how right here to the side it says mathematics? I'm going to click on that and hit delete. It's just an extra thing that Excel prints that we don't necessarily need. And I'm also going to adjust the axes so I can see the relationship in the data better. I don't really have a problem with the X-axis, but I do have a problem with the Y-axis. So to edit where the Y-axis starts, I'm going to double click on the Y-axis, and you're going to see this panel appear on the side that says Format Axis. Now it's under Axis Options, and you're going to select the one that looks like bars. Under Axis Options, it's the first one, and I'm specifically on the Y-axis, so the minimum's at 0. Now, one thing to note here is whenever you do this on Excel, Excel automatically starts the X-axis at 0 and the Y-axis at 0. So I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to type in, let's just say 400 first. Oops, not 40, excuse me. 400 first. And so I see the data a little bit better. And I'm actually going to go up to 425, which is also where the book chooses to start the Y-axis. And so now we can see a more clear relationship in the data. Okay, if you wanted to do the X-axis, it would be the same thing. You would double click over the X-axis, go over to Axis Options, click on the bars, and then you can go ahead and edit the minimum for the X-axis. The last thing to do here is to add in the axis titles. So for the X-axis, it's going to be state percent of graduates taking the SAT. Now for the Y-axis, state mean SAT mathematics score. And now we have a complete graph. There's a couple things you can do if the fonts generally will appear very small. So just make sure that the graph is selected. You can go over to Home and change the font. So let's say I want to change it to size 12 or 14. It doesn't really matter. Let's say size 12. It'll make the font a little bit bigger. And then you can go ahead and stretch out the graph so you can see a better picture, because sometimes the points will appear very much bunched up. Okay, so that's it for this example. It's pretty simple how you make a scatter plot on Excel. There's just a few extra steps to take to go ahead and adjust the axes and then add in the titles. So now what you can do is I'm going to have you guys try creating a scatter plot for Apply Your Knowledge 4.4. Now, this is on pages 104 through 105, and it's comparing homicide and suicide rates for 26 counties in Ohio per 100,000 people. Now, for us, this example already has the explanatory variable first and the response variable listed second. So you can create a scatter plot for that and go ahead and adjust the axes and add the title. And then also the next one would be to create a scatter plot for example 4.5, which is on pages 107 through 108, looking at the endangered manatee data in Florida. Now for this example, X is the boats registered in Florida, and Y is the manatee deaths by boats. And so we see here, if we disregard the year column, boats would be the explanatory, the X, and kills would be the response, which is the Y variable. So you can go ahead and highlight, create a scatter plot, and then add in the titles for the axes. And last one would be looking at Apply Your Knowledge 4.8. Now I have this mislabeled as 2.8, but I'll go ahead and correct it on your spreadsheet. So in this example, it's pages 107 through 108. Oh, I'm sorry, 108 through 109 in the textbook. And it looks for speed versus fuel mileage for the 2014 Chevy Cruze turbo diesel car. So again, highlight the data, create a scatter plot, and then do some editing so that way you can insert in titles for the axes and adjust the graph if needed. At any rate, we're going to go over these examples in depth in class. It's just good to familiarize yourself with how to create the scatter plots, because what we're going to do after creating the scatter plots is analyze them using a specific method outlined in the textbook. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know.